What is going on, everybody? Hopefully, everybody had a good start to their weekend. Happy Saturday, late night Giants talk. Welcome to the Giants family reunion. Before we get started, let me know if the audio is good. Let me know if the visual is good. Just give me a thumbs up or just say that I'm good in the comment section. I see people are already joining. Make sure you hit that like button. Let the algorithm know we in the building, and the algorithm will let other Giants fans know that we are in the building. We are 2 weeks away. 2 weeks away from training camp. I'm excited. This show, you see the title of this episode, Giant Disrespect. A lot of things have happened this week. A lot of things have been happening for the last decade, and we got a lot of things to talk about for sure. You see the topics, man. These are the topics that I plan on hitting. You know what I mean? But obviously, when the chat goes, that's how we go too. Thank you for letting me know I'm good. Luann said I'm good. Big Blue Reborn in the building said I'm good to go. Again, for all those people out there, if you have not subscribed to Big Blue Reborn, make sure you guys go ahead and do that. Fantastic Giants content creators. Follow them on Instagram. Follow them here. Follow them everywhere, as a matter of fact. They do good work. Luann is in the building again. My man Stacy in the building said I'm good. Bama McDabbles is in the building. Bama McDabbles says Big Dash got to know scat acting a fool. Listen, Scatterable is a fool, man, and that's how I like it, man. I like my running backs crazy, and he is absolutely crazy. Let's see who else is in the building. My man Vinny G in the building said, "What up, fam? What's going on, Vinny G?" Vaporize is in the building. He says, "What's good, Dash? Hope you and the family are doing great, brother. Just wanted to stop and check in. It's been a while. Jesus loves all. Amen. Amen to that. In Jesus' name, amen to that." D Hoff is in the building. Said, "What up, Dash? Let's go." Deb Ellis, what's going on, Deb? How you doing? Ty Morris in the building said, "Let's get it." Jay Hernandez said, "Let's go." Listen, man. Actually, I'm gonna let a couple more people file in before I get going, man, because it's gonna be a show, man. It's gonna be a couple of rants. I apologize in advance for that. If my man Jay Ferris is in the building, I've come full circle. For those that have been hanging around for a while, understand what I mean when I say I have come full circle, and I'm at the beginning of the cycle again. I'm at the beginning, and that's the hype cycle. That's me ready to jump out of the window, fully hyped for the New York Giants. I've fallen on my face a lot. I've said that a lot, and again, I'm willing to fall on my face again. I'm excited for this season, man. I'm excited for what 2026 has in store for the New York Giants. I'm not saying that we're going to win the Super Bowl. I'm not saying that at all. I would love it. I'm not saying that at all. I'm excited to see what these New York Giants are going to become under John Harbaugh and that fabulous staff that he has put together. Let me get back to the bottom of the comments or the chat because you guys be going crazy, and I know I get carried away. Corinne Rock said, "Loving the hat." Yeah, had to go retro. Had to go retro today. Giants. I wish we had Giants on the helmet. The navy blue look. Yeah, I'm going vintage. I can't even call it vintage. Well, actually, vintage. I guess 80s is vintage now, right? Leo Lucas in the building. What's going on? LT Hilliard was in the building. He says, "We will be division champs this year." I love it. I love it. Stacy says, "Real talk, when the Giants had a hard-nosed, disciplined coach, we win Super Bowls." Talk about it. Skills is also in the building. What's going on? Say, "What up, Dash? How you feeling about the recent Neighbors update?" I thought, what's crazy? I had it on the topics list. I took it down because I know sometimes people don't want to hear the same things over and over again. But in the disrespect section, we're going to talk about Malik Neighbors too, because I saw the tweet that Malik Neighbors put out, man. Malik Neighbors seems to be pissed off a little bit. He said he made it. What did he say? He made it out of the dark, and he's pissed off, something like that, or he's mad, whatever. I want to see a pissed off Malik Neighbors. I would love to see it. We might have to wait a while to see it. I know what John Harbaugh said about him being ready. Everybody everywhere is talking about, yeah, he's going to be ready for week one. Pump the brakes, man. Pump the brakes. John Harbaugh told you guys, I wouldn't say exactly what you wanted to hear, but he gave you guys hope in this Malik Neighbors situation. Now, listen, I want to be 100% wrong with my take on Malik Neighbors not being ready until week 5. I want to be absolutely wrong, but I just don't see him ready by week 1. Now, in 2 weeks, I can shut all the way up. I can shut up Malik Neighbors could be out there, warming up on the sideline with the trainers, and I got nothing to say. This is one of those few times where I wish, and I'm hoping and I'm praying that I'm absolutely wrong about Malik Neighbors not being ready until week 5. Now, on the other end of that, you got, who is it? Jordan Renan. He's the one saying that he won't be ready. Harbaugh saying that he might be ready, and somewhere in between are all of us, and we don't know what the hell is going on. We don't know what's going on. But I just say, to me, my opinion is he won't be ready anytime soon, but I'm praying that he will. I'll leave it at that. Luann says, go ahead and rant. It might be a couple of them, man, because there was some Andrew Thomas disrespect that happened, man. And here's the thing. The Giants don't have a lot of stars. I would say unproven, but as far as stars go for the New York Giants on this roster, Andrew Thomas is one of them. And he's just not a star for the New York Giants. He's a star in the NFL. And I'm going out of order. I'm going to let you guys know this right now. You guys see the topics right there on the screen. I'm probably going to be jumping around because I can feel a little bit of a rant coming on when it comes to Andrew Thomas. Listen, all right, forget it. We're going to go ahead and get started with the rant then. The disrespect for Andrew Thomas, man. The disrespect for Andrew Thomas. What was it? Was it ESPN? No, Sports Illustrated. Sports Illustrated had top 10 offensive linemen. Again, we're talking centers, guards, and tackles. Top 10 offensive line ranking, right? And Andrew Thomas wasn't on their list. He wasn't on their list at all. At all. So you telling me that there's 10 offensive linemen better than Andrew Thomas? I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I already feel like Andrew Thomas is top 3 left tackles, period. And he's not number 3. You might want to fight and argue over 1 and 2, but he's not number 3. But he is in that category of a top 3 left tackle in the league. And the funny thing about it is when you look at this list, and I wish I had the graphic for the list, but first of all, let's start off with this. Number 10 on this list from Sports Illustrated is Darnell Wright. Now, when I talk about this, right, this is in no disrespect to the people that made the list. I'm happy for the players that made the list. I'm happy for you guys. I understand that you guys have accolades and stuff like that. But just listen to me. So number 10 on the list. Again, this is the Sports Illustrated. I think it came out earlier this week. Sports Illustrated. And I'll get to the ESPN top tackles list a little bit later, probably just right after this, because they showed him a little bit of respect on the ESPN side, but Sports Illustrated is absolutely wild. And again, this is no disrespect to the people that made the list. Top 10. Darnell Wright is number 10 on this list. And you can't tell me Andrew Thomas is not better than Darnell Wright. I'm sorry. Some of you guys are like, who the hell is Darnell Wright? Darnell Wright is a tackle for the Chicago Bears. Drafted out of Tennessee, whatever. I actually liked him the year that he came out too, and all this stuff. They thought he might be able to play some guard and stuff like that. I keep an eye on the trenches every year. But Darnell Wright makes the list at 10 in this Sports Illustrated top 10 list for offensive linemen. Darnell Wright is not better than Andrew Thomas. I'm sorry. My man Rob says that they're fake news. they're fake news, man. They're fake news. Jim Simpson says, seems like there's a lot of disrespect about the New York. Exactly. And the funny thing is, I was working on, just some topics. I think I started working on the topics like Wednesday, Thursday to see what I want to talk about this week. Again, next week we got the pre-training camp show. It's going to be a panel show. I got some other Giants content creators coming through to share their opinions and stuff like that. But I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do this week. And pretty much the topics made themselves. The disrespect that was happening, people getting left off a list. I saw one fantasy. Was it a fantasy for the top 10 bust in regards to fantasy drafts and stuff like that? And Malik Neighbors made that list for the top bust and stuff like that. I'm like, yo, it's a lot of disrespect happening. And then after that, I saw that Malik Neighbors tweet. Now, I don't know if his tweet was in response to that, but I'm not going to say it wasn't in response to that. But let me get back to Andrew Thomas for a second. 9 on the list, Chris Lindstrom out of Atlanta. Tristan Wirfs made it from Tampa Bay. Now, when they started their career, especially that rookie season, Tristan Wirfs was better than Andrew Thomas. The last 3 years, I don't think he's better than Andrew Thomas. I just want to put that out there. Center Quinn Miners out of Denver is on the list. Garrett Bowles made the top 10 list. He's not better than Andrew Thomas. Quentin Nelson, no problem at all. Shake my hand, respect to Quentin Nelson. Trent Williams, respect to Trent Williams. You know, I'm not Creed Humphrey, Penei Sewell, Joe Tooney. Shout out to all those guys. Andrew Thomas should have been on this list, though. Andrew Thomas should have definitely been on this list of top 10 offensive linemen, period. But I can tell you why. And it has a lot to do with, again, with Giant disrespect. It's because the New York Giants have not been good. That's it. That's it. If the New York Giants were a better team and had better results over the past couple of the last 10 years, you can say, but you know, Tom has only been here, you know, what, 6 years now? Something like, yeah, 6 years? 6 years? Yes. I think this is 6th year. So we haven't been good. So because we haven't been good, Andrew Thomas has not gotten the respect that he's deserved. I remember 2 years ago arguing with Vocal Vike, my man from the Vikings. Obviously has a good tackle himself over there in Minnesota with Christian Darrisaw. My man TP Way and me were arguing about Andrew Thomas, and this man was like, he didn't even know who Andrew Thomas was. And I said, you know what? I'm going to let you have it. Why? Because you're all the way up there in Minnesota, even though he don't live in Minnesota. He's a fan of Minnesota, and I say this respectfully because that's my guy over there, Vocal Vike. Shout out to him. But he didn't even know. Why? Because the New York Giants have not been successful enough that are good players outside of a Saquon Barkley and a Dexter Lawrence and the OBJ and stuff like that over the years. They have not gotten the respect that they deserve, and Andrew Thomas is one of those guys for sure. For sure. All right, so I did say that was a list from Sports Illustrated. My man Robbie already called Sports Illustrated fake news right now. That's between you and them. My man TP was said facts. He didn't even know, and then he knew, right? And then we had to tell the Denver Broncos fans last year about Andrew Thomas because they was talking about who they was talking about. Their edges are so good. What was his name? Nick Benito and the other dude that was talking about snatching darts chain. Would never. What were they? They were non-existent for that game. Non-existent for that game. But anyway, Andrew Thomas deserves his respect. And if the team is better, Andrew Thomas no longer gets snubbed. Now, ESPN did show him a little bit of love. He did make their top 10 list of tackles. Top 10 list of tackles. Andrew Thomas was 8th on the list. He was 8th on the list. Now, I already felt like when I saw the ESPN list first, and I felt mad about that one. But then I saw the Sports Illustrated, and he didn't even make the list. I focused more on Sports Illustrated. Now, let's talk about this top 10 offensive tackles in the league that ESPN created, ranked, and Andrew Thomas did make. So right now they have number 1, Penei Sewell. I'm not going to argue with that. Trent Williams, number 2. Again, those two are in my top 3. And then Trent Williams. So, okay, Tristan Wirfs. Okay. Jordan Mailata. As much as I hate the Eagles, I also give them respect when respect is due. But Mailata is not better than Andrew Thomas. I'm sorry. Laramie Tunsil, he's cool, but you can't tell me right now he's better than Andrew Thomas. Darnell Wright again makes the list. I already explained myself when it comes to that. Chris says ESPN branch of Eagles Media. They might as well be. Might as well be. Lane Johnson, all respect to Lane Johnson. Lane Johnson is a future Hall of Famer. You know, it is what it is. Then Andrew Thomas. Behind Andrew Thomas is Joe Alt from the Chargers. And then after that is Garrett Bowles. Now, Garrett Bowles is 10th on this list on ESPN, right? But Garrett Bowles is 6th on the list for Sports Illustrated. Garrett Bowles is behind Andrew Thomas on the top 10 tackle list, but Garrett Bowles is in front of Andrew Thomas on Sports Illustrated list. Like, come on, man. We are all over the place with this stuff. Now, again, I might be biased. I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm not biased towards the Giants. I know that I'm biased, but in this situation, you can't tell me Andrew Thomas ain't better than a lot of people on this list. And that's my first rant of the night. We only 15 minutes in. I'm done with my first rant of the night. It's about Andrew Thomas. I think it was deserved because Andrew Thomas right now is maybe the best player, absolutely the best player on the New York Giants right now. I don't think we can argue that he's the highest ranked New York Giant, grades and everything. Yeah. So yeah, that's where I'm at with this whole Andrew Thomas thing, man. So I got my first rant out of the way. Now this this episode, this stream, whatever, this live, whatever you want to call it, it's going to be a lot of participation in this because I'm going over a lot of overs and unders. You see the second topic on the list says Giants, as far as win total, 7.5. That's what Vegas got us right now. My man Tim Zavala said, "What up, SA? What's going on? How we doing? How we doing?" Well, there it is. Tim Zavala said, "Dash, what up? What's going on, man? How you doing?" Bully Bill is in the building. What's going on? He says, "Can't stand how much the media says they questions." Listen, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that yet, Bully Bill, because Dart was on my original list of topics. He's going to be on my offensive expectations over under list when we get to the end of this episode. Again, I'm jumping around, so it might get here sooner than later. But we're going to talk about Dart too and the disrespect because it's a lot of disrespect happening. I was watching, see, here we go, off track again. I was watching Rich Eisen. And they were talking about, Jackson Dart had a slew of injuries. A slew of injuries. Now, I don't know about you guys. A slew sounds like a lot to me. If I'm not mistaken, if I say a slew, that means I'm assuming that's a lot, right? A slew sounds like a lot. It sounds like something you put before that means a lot, a slew. So Rich Eisen, Jackson Dart has a slew of injuries. And listen, I respect Rich Eisen. Rich Eisen, one of the best to do it. Best to do it still. But this narrative, this lie that people have been running with for so long that people believe it to be true now. Jackson Dart had a slew of injuries. You tell me, list the slew of injuries. I got one concussion that I can think of. He was out 2 games, 1 concussion. That's the slew, right? Chris says, is a slew bigger than a dozen? It sounds like it should be, right? A slew, right? A slew. But I'm just saying, and I see everybody, shout out to everybody in the building. Again, make sure you hit that like button. My man Clinton Jones in the building. What's going on? I saw some other, my man Corky's in the, Corky, what's going on? How you doing? Jackie in the building, he says, "Hey, will you be doing this for the games? Please say yes." I do reactions to games. A lot of people tell me, can I call games? I can't do it. My emotions won't let me, my nerves won't let it happen. My blood pressure won't let it happen. I am a wreck when it comes to calling. I'm not going to call games. Now, you might see me start my live early, in the fourth quarter of a game or something like that and finish watching the game with y'all, but I will never watch I will never stream an entire game. My heart can't take it. And then it will be a boring watch unless you just want to see somebody melt down. But I'm, maybe it might be different because we got Harbaugh now. Maybe I'm scaring myself. Maybe I'm not going to melt down. But no, I have no plan of doing this during games, but I always react to every game. And I can't wait for week 1. I'm just saying. All right, let me get back to the bottom. Deb Bella says it's bigger than a bread box. Listen, a slew sounds like a lot. A slew absolutely sounds like a lot. And when they said Jackson Dart had a slew of injuries, I'm sitting here like, yeah, the narrative has become the truth. A false narrative has become the truth because everybody is saying that he's like injury prone or something like that. And there's just no truth in that. Absolutely no truth in that. But again, Rich Eisen, one of the best out there to do it, still doing it. And I got a lot of respect for Rich Eisen, but I understand there's no slew of injuries when it comes to Jackson Dart, knock on wood. There has not been a slew of injuries. Where was I at, man? Because I got off track. Andrew Thomas, yeah. So Andrew Thomas makes a list, ESPN's top 10 tackles. He's 8 on that list. I got problems with that. But after seeing the Sports Illustrated, not mention him at all in the top 10, I kind of took it easy on ESPN, and I'm happy that he made at least one list. Now, let's talk about this over-under thing, right? So in the chat, man, in the chat right now, Vegas, and hold on, let me get the super chat from Anthony Cherry. Anthony Cherry with the $2 super chat didn't say anything or write anything, but I appreciate the love and support as always, Anthony Cherry. Appreciate you. But yeah, so let's talk about this over-under. New York Giants, 7.5 wins. In the chat, just let me know. Over or under 7.5 wins for the New York Giants. Let me know in the chat right now, and then we can get into this a little bit as well. 7.5 wins. That's what Vegas has us. Over and under. Just put over or under. Or if you want to say money line, you can say money line. Or what's it called? Push. If you want to push it, we can push it. Pause. All right. Deb Ella says over. Anthony Cherry says anytime. No, I appreciate love and support. But Bully Bill says over. Clinton Jones says over. We got all over so far. My man Jim Simpson. What did Jim Simpson say? Jim Simpson said, Dar said he's only missed 2 games in his entire career so far. There is no slew of injuries, man. I'm telling you, there's no slew of injuries. Jim Simpson also said over. Book and Tackle says over. Atlantic JM, what's going on? He says over. You got us at 10-7. Okay, you got us at 10-7. Tony Benino says definitely over. Q Burrow brother, what's going on? He says to my brother Dash, I say more than 7. I know more than last year. It definitely better be more than last year. It definitely better be more than last year for sure. Soul Glow says, I'll take the over. Ant 10, what's going on? He says, peace, Big Dash. What's going on? And I need to know. Over, under. Corky says over. Cap and God says over. The overs have it so far. Here we go. LV Shore. LV Shore says under. How far under we talking about, LV Shore, man? Because you already know what's coming next. Pause. Shamari, shout out to my big brother in the building. He said, what up, Dash? Been a minute, but I'm here, bro. Listen, man. I appreciate the love and support as always, family. Make sure you tell the family and the grandkids I said, hey, kiss your wife for me too. Shout out to everybody in the building. Shout out to the family if they watching too, because my big bro got one of the best Giants, what do they call them, dens out there, man. One of the best out there. Big Blue Reborn says, come on, son. Anthony Cherry's over. I see over. Here we go. LV Shore, we did this already, man. And this is for you, LV Shore. Again, why I got to keep doing this, man?
Get away from me, you crumb. You're a real crumb bum. Put that on camera. You're a crumb bum, the 3 of you. And you're a crumb creep coward.
I'm not even a half hour in the show, and you got me using that already. Excuse me. 8-9, I see from Ant Davis. Over by Frankie. Let's see, Scat. Hold on. Well, hold on now. He says Scat News not gonna sit. Well, hold on now. See, because when did this Scat News happen? Because if it happened today after, what time is it? After 2:00, I didn't hear it. So somebody break the news with Scat. This is something that Big Dash knows does not know. What happened with Scatable? Did he do a backflip and hurt himself? Let me know what's going on. Somebody let me know what's going on with Scatable. Last time I checked, Scat was good to go. Somebody let me know. Soul Glow says crumb bum alert. That's it for the 2026 season. That's it, man. That's it. Cubans. Somebody, he fell in the video. Oh, see, now I got it. Hold on. Now I got to figure out what happened to Scatable. He fell doing what, man? Good Lord. Y'all about to see a live reaction to something right now. Cam Scatable. Let me see what's happening with Cam Scatable. What'd he do, man? Oh, I'm watching it. Oh, man. Let me see if y'all can see this. Y'all can see this, right? There go your boy, Scatable. Is that wrestling? Oh, man. They say Dash don't cuss, man. I don't cuss, man. I try not to cuss. Scatable, sit your ass down, please. We got 2 weeks to training camp. 2 weeks to training camp. What are you doing? When was this? Hold on. What's the timestamp on this? 40 minutes. No, this is 3 hours ago. Okay. He didn't even stick the landing and then got up and clapped and laughed. Listen, man. I hope him busting his ass was embarrassing enough that he can go sit his ass down somewhere, man. I do apologize for cussing. It's still late. But I think that's worth that was worth that was worth it. Yo, man, that's crazy, man. Sit down, man. Sit down, Scat. I don't even want him doing that in games, let alone doing that on a wrestling. What was it, WWE? I remember WWF, man. Shout out to my man Chris Caleb with the $5 super chat said, what up, Dash? I like that video you did on my guy. Tyler Newman breakout year in year 3. I'm calling it. We're going to talk about that too, man. Because again, we got defensive expectations and we got some over and unders. The theme of this episode is the disrespect. And we're going to talk about over and unders and everything. We talking passing yards, receiving touchdown, sacks, and all that stuff, man. Pause. We're going to get into that. Why is he out here? He said, what up, Big Dash? Scatter's fine. Listen, I understand that he's fine. This is 2 times now. This is 2 times that we've seen him do backflips. The first one he landed. This one he fell down. I don't need him to do any more backflips. We know that you're healthy. Stay healthy. Now, here's the thing. Because we New York Giants fans, depending on where you grew up, we can be petty. If he out here doing backflips, but you telling me when we get to training camp, he working with the trainers on the sideline to ease his way into training camp, I'm going to be a little bit upset about it. What Luann say? Luann says Harbaugh needs to tell him to stop doing backflips. He's getting paid to play football. I ain't even going to argue with you. Not even one bit. Bookend tackles in the building. What's going on? He says you have to put something in his contract if they ever extend him. Yeah. My man, this is the best one right here, man. Bully Bill says it's AI. I wish it was AI. He would have landed it. He would have landed it if it was AI. Oh, that was the Fanatics Fest? At the Fanatics Fest doing backflips. Why the hell are you doing backflips at the Fanatic Fest? Are they streaming that? As a matter, are they streaming that, the Fanatic Fest? Somebody let me know if they actually streaming that. It's a lot of people too. Shout out to the New York Revivals in the building for Fanatics Fest. Shout out to those guys, man, over there, man. Shout out to Eli, Hefe, my man Shapiro. I mean, all those guys, man. My man Spiro. Captain God said, stay sober too. Listen, man, is he drinking? I think that's just him naturally, right? He just naturally like that. I don't think he's drunk or nothing like that. I wouldn't be surprised if he was. I'm just saying, I don't think he is. I think he built like that, man. Moist No Drip pause on the name, man. Said Tyrone Tracy said keep flipping. Tyrone Tracy back there like, yeah, man, go ahead, man. You know what? Show him that you're healthy. You know, do a backflip. This time, do 2 in a row. You got it, man. You healthy. You said Tyrone Tracy egging him on, huh? Yeah, man. Backflip to the bench. Listen, y'all crazy, man. Chris Caleb says, I'm going tomorrow taking a photo op with Eli Manning. Shout out to Eli Manning as always. And again, Chris, you be all over the place anyway. Chris be all over the place, man. It ain't even got to do with the Giants sometimes. He Yankees. He right the Knicks. He right there. Chris is in the mix with everybody. Green Lantern, John Stewart says, as much as I could laugh at Scat for doing that, what's even more pathetic is the Jets using Buzz Lightyear's image to try to be relevant. I didn't see that. What do you mean they're using Buzz Lightyear's image to be? What do you mean? What do you mean by that? Disney didn't approve that. Disney did not approve that. Okay, all right. So we pretty much, a lot of people, listen, we're getting sidetracked. Let's bring it back. Get back to the bottom of the comment section. Luann is going off right now. Scatterboo is very immature. I hear you. Orlon, what's going on, Orlon? He says Scat will have. Listen, we're not gonna put that bad hoodoo on him. We're not gonna do that. Man. Listen, some guys are playing with it right now. I'm not saying that he is. I'm just saying we're not gonna do that, Orlon. We're not gonna do that. Williams says the last running back we had. Oh boy, yeah. The last guy we had doing backflips ended up with a neck injury for sure. Yeah, that sucked too because I liked him come out of Virginia Tech too, man. But yeah, he had a neck injury, forced to retire, but he was one. Well, the backflips didn't, cause a neck injury. But yeah. Okay, all right. So here we go. We're going on to the Harbaugh effect. So y'all see how I'm going. Giants disrespect. 7 over under 7.5 wins, and now I'm trying to get into this Harbaugh effect. Now this is what gives me the most confidence. This is what gives me the most confidence in the New York Giants in 2026 because it's a lot of unknowns. But the one thing that's not an unknown is John Harbaugh and what he can bring to the table as far as leading an organization, leading a team, putting a team together, putting the staff together, and putting a scheme together. Hands all over the place, man. Building this team. That gives me the most hope for the season. Now let's talk about Harbaugh a little bit, man. He said David Wilson. Yeah, it is David Wilson out of Virginia Tech. That's a fact. I still remember the kick return, man, for David Wilson. David Wilson, man. We drafted him right after we won that Super Bowl too, because I think we picked him with the 32nd pick overall, if I'm not mistaken. I think that was the last pick of the first round of the draft, if I'm not mistaken. Jay Saint in the building says 2 weeks till Spider-Man Day. Yeah. Kids asked me if I got my tickets. I said, "What you think? What do you think? We're going to see Spider-Man for sure." I got some theories on that too, man. I can't wait for Spider-Man. I'm still waiting on the Doomsday trailer. They talking about the Doomsday trailer might drop this week. We'll see what happens with that. I think they said the 25th. Jay, you inside, man. You know. Let me know, man. When that trailer dropping for Spider-Man, let me know. Let me know if you heard something about the not the Spider-Man trailer, the Doomsday trailer. But now Harbaugh, right? You see, I'm getting sidetracked again. John Harbaugh is the reason why I have the most optimism, or the most optimistic, I should say, for the 2026 season. The Giants, since Tom Coughlin, right? Everybody that we hired for the most part was either, first-time head coach or a failed head coach. Well, that's all we've had so far. John Harbaugh is the first coach that we've hired that already had a Super Bowl, in his pocket. And that gives me confidence. Also, he was in the one of the toughest, if not the toughest conference, or I should say division in football, the AFC North. That is a competitive division. And also he was successful in all of the years he's been there. He's been successful in that division since he got there. Also, again, won a Super Bowl as well, but highly competitive. That gives me the confidence. Looking at the staff that he put together gives me the confidence. Looking at the answers and how he's already dealing with some situations, some adversity, whether it's, big or small. The dart in the Abdul Carter thing handled in the first day. It was only drama after that within the fan base. Again, he squashed that. It was put to the side and it left us arguing. Remember what people were saying about that? Oh, this thing is going to bleed over into the training camp after a week and a half. Like after 10 days, nobody was even thinking about it anymore. It might be some people out there still thinking about it, but it's not what we thought it was going to be. It's not, bleeding into, training camp. We got way more things to worry about than who people are voting for. And I don't give a damn at the end of the day. I really don't. I got enough worrying about my damn self. I can't be worrying about what somebody else is doing to that extent. Are you showing up to practice? Are you getting better? Are you going to be my outlet on Sundays, winning games, getting away from the real life? That's what I look for when it comes to football, man. But this Harbaugh effect to me is exactly what the New York Giants need. Is exactly what the fan base needs too. Because before we were doing a lot of guessing, and now one thing we know for sure is we got the right guy in the building to get this ship turned around. And hopefully win our next Super Bowl, number 5. Let's get number 5, man. Was it the drive for 5 is what they calling it, right? That's what they say for that phrase. Captain Guy says, I love being underrated after years of being overrated. What years were we overrated? Let me know that golden age you talking about when we were overrated. Let me know. It's been a while. Jay Saint says Doomsday trailer coming at Comic-Con, San Diego Comic-Con. So we'll absolutely see if Spider-Man. Okay, all right, cool, all right. Because Spider-Man ain't in Doomsday, we know that for a fact. At least that's what they said. But just Spider-Man post-credit scene will go in. Yeah, I believe that part. But we know Spider-Man is not in Doomsday. We know that part. Well, at least they leaked that, but we'll see how much of that is true. Let's see what you guys are saying. Chris says we're gonna know more about Neighbors because of training camp. Yeah. Next week we'll find out. If Neighbors is there, it depends on what he's doing. If he's participating, that's one thing. If we don't see him out there, that's another thing. Then we know kind of what's going on. Again, it's not that. Listen, what we have 58 days, 57 days, 58 days, something like that, till the season starts. That's not a long time, man. That's not, we 2 months away. Not even from the home opener. That's not a lot of time, man. And again, unless he got some Wolverine healing capabilities, and we have not seen that yet so far, I just don't see it. I don't see it. My man Stacy says the players are ready to go to war for Harbaugh. I do believe that. You know who else they ready to go to war for? Denard Wilson. Did you see the way Brian Burns and Kayvon Thibodeau was talking about Denard Wilson? Did you see the way the safeties were talking about Denard Wilson and his system? Tyler Nubin said, I get to play like I played in college. Carl Banks put that out there. I read it. I said, you know what? I said, that's music to my ears, Carl. Tyler Nubin saying he's doing things like he did in college. That's what got him drafted in the second round, what he did in college. Because since he got here, things ain't been, looking good. But listen, Denard Wilson, the way the safeties are talking about him, the way the freaking linebackers are talking about him, they keep talking about the scheme and being physical. We saw the cornerbacks talking about being able to press on every play. I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to see it, man. Arlon says overrated. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out when we was overrated too, because we've been underdogs for a long time. The most recent Super Bowls, underdogs. Like the only time we probably not even overrated, that we were actually a favorite was the year after we won not the first Super Bowl, but the third Super Bowl in 2007. That 2018, listen. And then we know what happened. Plaxico Burress. He wanted to go to clubs with sweatpants and having things that he shouldn't have. And bad things happened. But we were on a roll that season too, man. On a roll. What's going on, William? He says Dash Dable became a negative factor, making the team worse than the talent, so the Harbaugh effect will be even more. Yes. And again, we're going to get to these because it's too early to start now. We haven't even hit the first hour yet. We right at like the 40-minute mark right now. Almost 40 minutes. We haven't even gotten there yet. It's too early to start the over and unders. But we might do that anyway. But I want to talk about some other people that might be pissed off, man. So actually, before I get into that, because actually I am going to talk about that. Brian Burns, I got a question. I've been watching NFL Network's top 100, right? And I think they are all the way down to like 61 now. And Brian Burns is not on this list so far. So I'm going to ask you guys, say yes or no. Is Brian Burns a top 100 player in the NFL? Because right now I'm a little bit nervous. And I was thinking like, man, he ain't on the list. And I'm seeing some other people, but they might think he's better, or higher, I should say, than the numbers that have passed already. But I'm going to ask you guys, is Brian Burns a top 100 player? Voted on by the players. I will say that as well, because we saw where Lamar Jackson was. Lamar Jackson, 69. Lamar Jackson was number 69 in the top 100. That's crazy to me. That's crazy to me. But we saw that top 10 quarterback list. He's on it. But I'm just saying. All right, I see it. Oh, I see it. The numbers just say yes for the most part. Yes. Yep. Les Brown says yes. Captain God, yes. Bully Bill says yes. Jim Simpson says big difference between this year's defensive coaching than last year's, 100%. And it's not just Denard Wilson either. The DB's coach is doing this thing, Alessio. You still got Charlie Bullen in the building. They love Charlie Bullen. They're happy that he was able to stay on with his staff. Harbaugh saw something in Bullen that said, you know what, I like what I saw at the end of the season. I like that I saw these guys show no quit at the end of the season. And I think that's one thing that helped Charlie Bullen, stay with the New York Giants. And I'm happy that he decided to stay because he did have a chance to go somewhere else. So shout out to Charlie Bullen. And we saw that too, man. Charlie Bullen, first time calling plays, defensive plays at the end of the season. And the defense did look better as soon as he got back. So as soon as he got back there and was calling plays, the defense looked better. Just certain things are just common sense that Shane Bowen wasn't doing. Charlie Bullen just said, hey, let me tweak this a little bit. And we saw them look better. My man TP Way says most definitely Burns is top 100. Soul Glow says yes, Burns is top 100. Where's he at on the list? Again, when I saw Lamar Jackson at 69, I'm like, wait a minute. we got to have 2 Giants on this list at least, right? I was expecting Burns, but Andrew Thomas better be on the list too, because if I don't see Andrew Thomas on the list, then a whole nother rant is going to happen. A whole nother rant is going to happen, because I know for a fact Andrew Thomas better be on that top 100 list. Anthony Cherry says, "Oh yes, LV Shore. We finally got a yes from LV Shore, man. Finally." Listen, how you come up with that name? I know LV Shore. LV Shore. Never mind. Actually, never mind. Never mind, brother. Never mind. Q Burrow says, "My spidey senses say yes, indeed." Arlon says he'll be in the top 50. He better be, man. He better be. Who was the first person on the first interview of the top 100? It was Kayvon Thibodeau. Not on the list. Not on the list, but he was one of the first guys interviewed. I forgot who number 100 was, the edge rusher. I forgot who it was now. I forgot who it was, but Kayvon Thibodeau was the first person to talk about a player on that top 100 list. TP Wade says, is a pig pork? I mean, yeah, he on the list. Yes, he is on the list. He is on the list. Luann says, yes, Burns is a top player. Listen, he need to be on the list. Andrew Thomas needs to be on the list, and I think that's where it stops. Again, going back to disrespected players, Malik Neighbors, man. I think Malik Neighbors forgets certain things, man. Like, Malik Neighbors is young, and he had a fantastic rookie season, but I think he's learning how fast the NFL can move on. Like, how fast you could become a backstory. You went from the man, your rookie season, to a guy that got hurt his second year, and then now people are looking at you like you chopped liver a little bit. Not saying that we are doing that. I'm just saying when it comes to down the rankings and the why, they forget about you. They forgot about him. They forgot about Malik Neighbors. The only time Malik Neighbors comes up is when other people bring him up, but they're not bringing Malik Neighbors up. And now I think that's what the tweet or the, whatever the post meant. I made it through the shadows or the dark, whatever he said. I can't see it right now exactly. And he's mad. That is such a wide receiver thing to say, man. I'm mad. That is such a diva thing to say. I'm mad, like people care if you're mad or not. Nobody cares that you're mad, Malik. It's about what you do on the field after being mad and feeling disrespected and all that other stuff. All of that stuff, man. All right, man. All right, let's get to some of these over and unders, man, because this conversation might take I didn't want to start it too soon, but I think with some of these debates, it might take a whole hour, possibly take an hour and some change. He said unequivocally. Chris says he's a maniac. Shout out to Casey Legit in the building. And while football with whiskey talk, what's going on? He says, yes, he is second in the league in sacks, top 10 in tackles for losses. I think he makes the list too. I'm just surprised, man. I want to see a Giant make the list, man. I want to see a Giant make the list. TP Wade says, I say around 30 to 40 range. Okay, I can see that. Dan Smith says 10 wins. We can do that. We can close out that section over under 7-5 from Vegas. Go ahead and put down your predictions. How many wins do the New York Giants have in 2026? We're not going to hold you to it. This is today, July 18th, and how you feel right now. How you feel? Les Brown didn't take any time. 12 wins with a trophy. Listen, I'm here for that. Q Burrow brother says, I think likely will surprise the league. Oh, he's in the next topic for sure. TP says 11 wins, 11-6. Shout out to my man Big Lou. Nova Nebula, what's going on? He says Andrew Thomas definitely isn't going to be on. Wait a minute, Nova. Andrew Thomas, you don't think he's going to be a top 100? A top 3 left tackle in the league is not making the top 1. Listen, I understand where you're going. And in the last part of your comment says, exactly what I've been talking about. He's still not popular enough. And why isn't he popular enough? Because the New York Giants have not been winning. He is arguably one of the best left tackles, if not the best left tackle, arguably, in the league. And he's not popular enough because the New York Giants have been trash. That's why. And good thing we got a new sheriff in town to turn these things around. Bars. John Stewart says no less than 10. Book it. You taking that to Vegas? You putting that on the parlay? Wayne says 9 and 8. George Boney says, what up, Big Dad? What's going on, George? How you doing? Nova says Andrew Thomas name still not a household, sadly enough. Yeah. I mean, I understand. Shout out to my man DL in the building, another fantastic Giants content creator. I already shout out Big Blue Reborn. Make sure you guys tune into them and like and subscribe to that channel. My man TP Way is also in the building. Make sure you guys subscribe to his channel. My man DL is in the building. Make sure you guys go and subscribe to that channel as well. And all the content creators that are in the building. Make sure you guys, show your love and support and build this thing up the right way, this Giants content community. TP Way says, only way I can see AT not on the list is because the list don't always show love to the big boys. Let me tell you something, TP. If I see somebody like Garrett Bowles and Darnell Wright, wait a minute, did Darnell Wright already make the list? But if I see some of these guys make that top 100 over Andrew Thomas, I'm gonna be highly upset, man. Especially because we're talking about the players around the league. The players know how good Andrew Thomas is. They know he's not falling for the banana in the tailpipe, man, when it comes to these pass rush moves. They talk about how good these edge rushers are, and then they play the Giants, and even on the New York Giants lose, whoever Andrew Thomas is blocking becomes shut down. But again, he doesn't get the love because we're not good enough. And hopefully that changes in 2026. Dealer says, yeah, Andrew doesn't get the respect he deserves. He doesn't. He absolutely doesn't. AT is the truth. That's a fact, Les Brown. Luann says, I step out the room and had asked if you think Giants will be favored week 1. I don't care if we're favored. Right now, we're not. The last thing I saw that we're not. I believe it's, is it 2.5? I think it's 2.5 right now in favor of the Dallas Cowboys. But even that gap lets you know that they don't know. But yeah, we're not favored week 1. We're not. And I understand it. I like to play the underdog role a lot too. It makes the wins feel that much better. But at some point in time, we got to get some respect happening. And the respect happens on the field. It doesn't happen on the roster, the paper roster. We don't get it there. We get it on the field. And that's when we'll know for sure. Bama says no top 100. Now I'm mad. Listen, man. We got what? They're on 61. So it's probably going to drag on for like another week, maybe 10 days. They're probably dragging on, and then they'll complete that list and put out all the little prop videos and stuff like that. But Brian Burns definitely needs to be on the list. Andrew Thomas, in my opinion, needs to be on the list. Popularity wise, Brian Burns is popular enough. He got that gimmick with the whole Spider-Man thing going on that keeps him relevant on the star radar and stuff like that. But Andrew Thomas is a quiet offensive lineman. Does his job very well. No rah-rah, no nothing like that. So we'll see what happens with that. But when the film speaks for itself. All right. Okay. Offensive expectations. We are playing a game of over and under. I got a lot of names on this list. I got a lot of, stat numbers that I'm going to ask you guys about, and we're going to have some discussion. So if you got your phone, be ready to comment. If you're on your computer, be ready to comment. If you're watching me on TV, just enjoy the conversation, I guess, unless you feel like logging in and typing with your remote, which a lot of people don't want to do if you're watching it on TV. Jackson Dart. First thing I'm going to ask you guys. Jackson Dart. Everybody caught up, hopefully. Got all the super chats? Yeah, I'm good. And make sure you like and subscribe. Make sure you like it. If you are a New York Giants fan, if you're not subscribed to this channel, shame on you. Shame on you, but you can fix that right now by hitting that subscribe button. And do it before training camp, so you don't want to be late to the show, man. And guess what? This is the family reunion. Go ahead and grab a plate and enjoy the show. Jackson Dart, over or under 3,400 passing yards. Jackson Dart, over or under 3,400 passing yards. 3,400 passing yards. Over or under. So just to let people know, he played in what? 12 games last year, right? 12 games? 12 games last year, 2,200 yards. 2,200 yards in 12 games. 3,400 yards. Okay, now let me see what we got going. And let me know if I'm peeking too. This might seem kind of close pulse. Dealer says, if we can just hold Javonte Williams in check, that will go a long way for us in that Dallas game. Stopping the run is one of the most important things that we need to do. We already, listen, Dealer, we on the same page when it comes to these trenches, brother, in this run defense, 100%. All right, Two Noble, two says over. Captain God over. Deb Ellis says under. Soul Glow says over 3,400. Les Brown says over. Atlantic JM says over. Easy over by health permitting. Easy over health permitting. Shout out to my Q Burrow in the building. He says Ant says just over. Over. Okay, Jim says an over. Big Bro said also hit that thumbs up. Subscribe and hit the thumbs up. Absolutely. The algorithm is already in effect. We see it. Shout out to the people that's in the building, over 100 people. Make sure you hit the like button. So just to put that in perspective, right? Quarterbacks with 3,400 yards last year, a couple of notable. Not over. Around that 3,400 yard, Jordan Love, Aaron Rodgers, Jalen Hurts. All between that 33 to 3,400 yards. Those are the, some of the top names for the quarterbacks in 2025 that had, roughly that amount. Jalen Hurts had 3,200 yards last year. So I think I do believe that Jackson Dart can crack 34. I think that happens. All right. William J says under. Big Blue Reborn says over. Q Burrow says over, close to 4,000. That would be fantastic. But again, not that many cracked 4,000. Not that many. Last year. All right. So next for Jackson Dart, we're gonna keep it on Jackson Dart for right now. Pause. Captain God says Kafka was trash, Bone was trash. I'm not gonna argue with you at all. I'm standing right there with you. Started 12 games, played in 14. Yeah, but when he played in those 2 games, it was a couple of RPOs, first and second week, couple of RPOs. Started 12 games, yeah, and then not to mention all of the drop passes. Actually, before we get into that, before we move on, we're gonna keep it with the passing stats. Shout out to Warren Sharp. Warren Sharp put out a post on Twitter. Let me see if I can go ahead and share this graphic real quick. See if do I have it saved? I think I have it saved. Yeah. Warren Sharp, right? He put out this list. I don't know if you guys can see that, but Warren, highest percentage of receiver error causing incompletions. So this is when either the receiver dropped the ball, or pretty much when it was the receiver's fault that it wasn't a completed pass. The New York Giants are 4th on this list. 4th on the list, where the receivers was not doing their job. 4th on the list. We damn near flipped that whole wide receiver room, didn't we? But yeah, 4th on the list of receiver caused incompletions. Yeah. And you see above us is the Cleveland Browns, Denver Broncos, Jacksonville Jaguars. Only 3 wide receiver rooms did worse as far as causing errors and incompletions in the league. There we go. Let me go ahead and take that down now. Go ahead and fix this. Get back to where I was. Okay. Kevin Wilson says over. Harbaugh schemes will be a bit much for the division. One thing also that would affect, I think, Jackson Dart's passing yards is the heavy run scheme at the end of the day. Heavy run scheme. All right, now we're going to switch to passing touchdowns. Last year, Jackson Dart had 15 passing touchdowns in 12 starts. Over or under passing touchdowns. Over or under 24 for Jackson Dart. 24 passing touchdowns in 2026 for Jackson Dart. Over or under. Soul Glow says, yeah, Darius. No hands, Slayton. Soul Glow says, got the bag, forgot how to catch. Nova Nebula says, Collins highest, Slayton Johnson did Brunson numbers in that category. Vaporizer says over easy. We're talking about cooking eggs, but now over. He said over easy, over for sure. Deb says over. KC legit says on my honest opinion, we might We might what? More balanced this year? Yeah, we might be more balanced this year. As you disrespectful over. All right. So this is why I said shout out to my man Papa Joe in the building. Papa Joe says over. My man Dealer says, remember, Eli basically averaged 24, 27 throughout his career. That's a fact. That's a fact. Now, to put this in the context, in 2025, receivers in that range of 25 touchdowns. Bo Nix had 25. Jalen Hurts had 25. Aaron Rodgers had 24. Josh Allen had 25. Lamar Jackson had 21. Jordan Love had 23. So just think about that company that you would be in just with the 24. Just with the 24. Again, Nix had 25. Hurts had 25. Rodgers had 24. Josh Allen, 25. Lamar Jackson, 21. Jordan Love, 23. And a lot of people, Allen, Lamar Jackson, Jordan Love, Rodgers, all these guys are good quarterbacks. So 24 is not even a bad number. Even if he stopped at 24, it's not a bad number. But you just see, kind of the company that he would keep with 24. But a lot of people are picking the over. They're saying over easy. And I don't think anybody said under. And again, he had 15 passing touchdowns in 12 starts. Now, also remember this. Darius Slayton dropped 2 touchdown passes. Theo Johnson dropped a touchdown pass. Little Jordan Humphreys dropped a touchdown pass. Who's that? I think it was Cam Scatterable that missed the lob out in the flat. So Jackson Dart could have had 20-something last year. Could have had 20-something last year. If he plays a full season, I'm taking the over as well. Now here's another question, and then we're going to move on to some other players. Jackson Dart, 500 rushing yards. 500 rushing yards for Jackson Dart. What do you guys think? Last year, I think he had 487 rushing yards, so just under 500. Over under 500 rushing yards for Jackson Dart. In this heavy running scheme, we just saw what John Harbaugh said about the playing style for Jackson Dart. He doesn't want to change too much. He's going to use, his athletic ability as well. With that being said, over or under 500 rushing yards for Jackson Dart. Dealer says over. Casey Legit says over. Q Burrow says over. Luann says Dart will throw touchdowns to Odell. Odell is way down on this list of over and unders. We're going to get there in a second. Hold on. Nova Nebula says Wandell had one knocked out of his hands. I remember that one. Yeah, man. It was a couple of them. Even my man Daniel Bellinger. Daniel Bellinger could have had 2 touchdowns in that Denver game. One of them got knocked loose too. So, yeah. He could have had 20. What's that? 6 touchdowns dropped so far. That puts him at 21 already, just with the drop touchdowns. There we go. Soul Glow says over 500 yards. Corky says over. David Lopez says under. Let me know why, David. I'm curious. Deb Ellis says over. Wayne says should be over. Shout out to Rev in the bill. What's going on, Rev? He says over. William says over 500. He runs less but gets longer runs. I can see that happening too. Better offensive line can make it happen. Q Burrow says just need him to be smart. Just need Jackson Dart to be smart, get out of bounds when you need to get out of bounds, slide when it's time to slide, live to fight another play. Q Burrow says under. They're gonna protect Dart, but Dart will still eat on unscheduled scrambles. Lonnie says under running touchdowns. I didn't do running touchdowns. What he had last year? I think he had 5 rushing touchdowns. I think it was only 5, right? Am I bugging? 6? He had 5 or 6, I think, rushing touchdowns. Maybe he had more than that. I'm trying to think now. I didn't want to throw rushing touchdowns into it. So I left that off of my list for right now. Anthony Cherry says over. Jim Simpson says under because the team wants him to run smartly. Okay. Like when you really think about it, 500 yards is not a lot. 500 yards is for a quarterback, especially with his kind of capability. 500 like if I said to you, oh, Jackson Dart had 30 yards rushing in the game. Just 30 yards rushing the game is going to get him over that if he plays a full season. Just 30, and I can easily see Jackson Dart getting 30 yards off of scrambles and design runs every game and still being safe. So yeah. He had 9 rushes. Wait a minute, 9? That's probably why I left it off. I don't think he's going to have 9 rushing touchdowns again. He had 9. Chargers. He had 2 in Denver. The Bears. Nah, you guys are right. 9. I didn't do over on the rushing touchdowns. Forget it. I'm gonna ask you guys. You guys think he has more rushing touchdowns this year than next year? I mean, this year than last year? Let me know. And then we're gonna move to the tight end position. 9 rushing touchdowns. Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, because he had like 5 on the first 3 games. Now you guys are absolutely right. There you go. That's my fault. I was looking at all these stats and didn't even shout out to him. That's right, because he had 26 touchdowns. Duh. 26 total touchdowns on a year. Duh. Okay, 15 thrown. Yeah, got it. Under. Same gonna score more. Less rushing touchdowns. I think you're gonna see a lot of fullback work. You're gonna see a lot of scatterboo, Tyrone Tracy. Yeah. But I do think he plays smarter this year. Now we're gonna move to the tight end position. I was gonna jump right into the wide receivers, but I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna talk about the tight end position right now, right? So I'm gonna ask you guys, and I'm gonna combine Theo Johnson, Isaiah Likely. Do you think combined Theo Johnson and Isaiah Likely have 1,000 yards receiving? I know it sounds crazy when I'm saying it, but there's a reason why I'm asking this question. It sounds like, yeah, of course they're going to have 1,000 yards combined, but I'm saying it for a reason. So Theo Johnson, Isaiah Likely, 1,000 yards receiving combined, over under. Let me know. And we're going to talk about it. Luann says, I don't want him running too much. I prefer throwing touchdowns instead of rushing. You want to protect your quarterback at the end of the day. No arguments here. Soul Glow says yes. Jay Band says, Dash, are you ever going to go to Fanatics Fest? Listen, I'm not on the East Coast, man. So it just depends. If it works out, it works out. Listen, if I can do this for a living, then I'm gonna be everywhere. But I don't do this for a living. So I am where I am right now. But I would love to be there. I was a little bit jealous of the people that got a chance to enjoy Fanatics Fest. I'm not gonna lie, I'm human at the end of the day. I can be jealous a little bit. But I'm definitely happy for the people that were able to attend. Rev with the $5 super chat says there will be no need for him to run for 9 because of the run game. I love it. That's a great answer. All right. So this is the reason why I said 1,000 yards, right? This is the reason why I said 1,000 yards. Last year, Theo Johnson had 528 yards, right? Last year, Isaiah Likely, he only had 307 yards for the Baltimore Ravens last year. All right. So just last year combined, these guys they weren't on the same team. They weren't playing together. But last year combined, they just had over 800 yards, right? Combined last year. This year, brand new scheme. Isaiah Likely building a relationship with Jackson Dart. You would hope that these guys go over 1,000 yards. Now, I do believe that they can get over 1,000 yards because I think just some of the opportunity Isaiah Likely is going to have. I think he's going to have more opportunities in New York than he did in Baltimore, playing after Mark Andrews. But the setup is kind of the same. The way Isaiah Likely is going to be used is going to be similar to what they were doing in Baltimore. And then Theo Johnson is going to be your primary inline tight end, traditional tight end, but he's still going to get a lot of looks. And I think they should play it that way. But I like some of these answers too, because not everybody took the over. My man David Lopez did say under 1,000. Corky says over. Still says who's the slot receiver? Isaiah Likely for the most part. Soul Glow says, of course, over 1,000 yards. Shout out to my man Jesse in the building. What's going on? Q Burrow says, I can see a 700 and 300 split for our tight ends. Which one you got getting 700? Let me know. Just think about also where Jackson Dart attacks, the part of the fields that he attacks, and how these guys are going to be used. But I do think they're going to get a bunch of targets. Both Likely and Theo Johnson, these guys are going to be on the field a lot. You're going to see a lot of 12 personnel out there, so they're going to be on the field a lot. So the opportunities will be there for both of these guys. Wayne says you're valid but over. Their catch radius is crazy. I'm not arguing with that. David Lopez says Harbaugh is going to want to run the rock. That's one of the things that's going to factor into a lot of passing stats this year. It won't be because we're not successful in the passing game. It's hopefully because the running game is so successful too. Nova Nebula says that should be easy, but it really depends on how much the receivers are factored in. Again, people love to complain about the team's lack of weapons, but there's a lot of bodies who need to get the ball. Well said. Well said. Jim Simpson says 800 for Likely, 600 for Theo. That would be fantastic. That would be fantastic numbers for these guys. Again, Theo Johnson last year, 528 yards. Isaiah Likely, 307 yards on the season. He did miss a couple games, though. Dealer says, I'll say over because I expect Likely to be the main piece of this offense outside of Neighbors. I agree with that, too. And also, depending on when Neighbors actually gets back. And actually, when Neighbors even is back, man, if Dart builds a relationship with Likely, especially in that middle of the field, you still might see, even with Neighbors on the field, Likely getting a lot of targets, too. Again, at the end of the day, when it comes to Malik Neighbors, it's all about where he's at, not just physically, but also mentally and ready to go. If he's not thinking about his knee and out there, he's going to be highly effective. If he's out there worried about his knee, he's not going to be effective to his full potential. Said don't forget about Ricard. Now, Ricard does practice with the tight ends. We know that. And they do have, Baltimore ran a fantastic play action where the fullback leaks into the flat uncovered most of the time, and that's where the majority of Pat Ricard's touchdowns come from, are from receiving. So I hope they adopt that play, because that play was money in Baltimore. That little play action, fullback into the flat uncovered. It was money for Baltimore, money for Lamar Jackson. Hopefully, it's money for the Giants and Jackson Dart. Yes. Theo will have a chip on his shoulder. I think so too, man. The one thing about Theo Johnson is this, man. Just hold on to the ball. Now, to put this into context, right? Only 13 tight ends in the league had over 600 yards. Only 13 tight ends in 2025 had over 600 yards. I think one was in the division, and that was Ferguson for Dallas, had over 600 yards. That's it. Not even Dallas Goedert had over 600 yards for the Eagles last year, but Goedert had a whole bunch of touchdowns. And then they only had one tight end in the league, according to the stats that I saw. Only one tight end had over 1,000 yards receiving, and that was Trey McBride for the Arizona Cardinals. And I think he had like 1,200 yards. But McBride was the only one that cracked 1,000. I double checked that list too, because I was looking to see what Brock Bowers did. He didn't crack 1,000. Kelsey didn't crack 1,000. He was in the 800s and stuff like that. A lot of those top tight ends did not crack 1,000 yards in 2025. So that's the tight ends right there. I see Q Burrow says most likely over, and likely in all caps. I see what you did there. Tyrone Hall, what's going on? It says Shalimar second time around. Now we're talking R&B. Classic R&B too. Shalimar. I wish I had a Shalimar button that I could press for music. One of my step pops' favorite singers from Shalimar. Howard Hewitt? Howard Hewitt. Yeah, Howard Hewitt from Shalimar. My step pop's favorite singer for sure. I think my parents, their wedding song, I think is a Howard Hewitt song. I can't remember for sure now. This is For the Love in You. Shout out Tyrone Hall. You know what I'm talking about. Howard Hewitt. I think that's the name of the song. I'm not going to break out in song because I can't sing. Ron Lewis says, hello there, Big Dash. I finally made a live show. Woo-hoo. He says, but I'll have to go back and listen to the first part. Please do, man. And listen, I'm happy you were able to finally make a live show, and hopefully it's everything that you expected, or even more than you expected. Again, shout out to you. Thank you for the love and support. Les Brown says overall Dart will have plenty of options on offense, even without Neighbors, 100%. So let's keep going. So I'm gonna mention a name that a lot of people loathe. They don't love, they loathe. What about DeBarge? You said DeBarge is greater than Shalimar? This is not that part of the show yet. This is not that part of the show yet. But we can argue over DeBarge and Shalimar. Maybe not. Okay. I'm going to ask you guys again. We're still in the over-under stage of the conversation, right? Darius Slayton. Darius Slayton, over or under 400 yards? Just 400 yards. Over or under Darius Slayton, 400 yards on the season. Last year he had 538 yards. Over or under 400 yards. David Lopez says DeBarge greater than Shalimar. I might need a versus for that. Now, are we including all of the solo stuff too? Because Shalimar broke up and had their own singles too, just like DeBarges did. But again, we might be in the wrong age bracket right now. We might be in the wrong age. People like Shalimar, who? DeBarge, what? Who are these people? Listen. He said Darius Slayton is a bum. Big Blue Reborn says over. David Lopez says over. Jay Saint is just laughing. Q Burrow says is close on the battle of the bands. DeBarge gets the award. DeBarge got some classics. But also Shalimar got some classics. But if you asking me right now, I'm probably leaning DeBarge too. Because I'm just thinking just certain songs that I would play over Shalimar. Anyway. RDSC Jr. says his bum ass getting it. He's a bum, but he's still getting that 400 yards. Is what you're saying, RD? That's what you're saying. He's a bum, but he's getting it. He's still getting that 400 yards. Okay. Les Brown says over. Big Blue Reborn says his best season loading right now. That would be the most Darius Slayton thing to happen. Was him like Darius Slayton cracking 1,000 yards in 2026 will be the most Darius Slayton thing to do. Because right now people hate Darius Slayton right now. I don't hate Darius Slayton. You know, I just want to be full transparency. I do not hate Darius Slayton, but he does piss me off a lot of the time. But that would be the most Darius Slayton thing. Him having his best statistical year in 2026 will absolutely be the most giant thing to happen and the most Darius Slayton thing to happen. And Davis says just over. Q Burrow says, I hope Slayton is not on the field enough for 400 yards. Jay Saint said those are trigger words. Darius Slayton are trigger words. Somebody's name is trigger words. Oh, man, Dealer says over. I'm going to believe in Slayton one more time. Laugh out loud. I'll give him the benefit. Listen, you guys was watching me last year, all summer 2025. Me talking about, Darius Slayton this, Darius Slayton that. If he can just get 75 catches, blah, blah, blah. And what happened? What happened? I can't do it anymore. I don't got one more in me. Pause. He got to show me something, and it got to start fast too, because the next person that I'm about to name is most likely the guy that's going to take over for Darius Slayton. Darnell Mooney. Does Darnell Mooney have over 500 yards in 2026? Last year he had 443 yards. He was in Atlanta last year. Yeah, he was with Atlanta last year. Darnell Mooney, 500, over under 500 yards for Darnell Mooney. Let me know. So now you guys, let's start adding this stuff up. We said over. The majority said over 3,400 passing yards for Jackson Dart. We already talked about Theo Johnson, Isaiah Likely getting over 1,000 yards combined. Darius Slayton over 400 so far. Darnell Mooney, that's what we're getting into now. Let me see what we're saying. Soul Glow says yes, Mooney over 500. Les Brown says no. Capping Guys says Mooney with Nagy, definitely. The only time he had 1,000 yards with Nagy, with Matt Nagy in Chicago. Anthony Cherry says yes. David Lopez says Mooney over. Nova Nebula says Slayton played good football in 2022 and especially in 2023 and 24, and he's still capable of that. Many of his mistakes were avoidable, and he had 2 huge touchdowns called back on BS. We should root for him. Not only that, so that's 2 more touchdowns that got called back for BS, and he still dropped 2 touchdowns too. Come on. I think Darius Slayton left about 300 yards on the table and dropped passes, though. Where was I at? Big Blue Reborn says over. Q Burrow Brother says Mooney should get more. Nova Nebula says if Slayton plays the way he did in 22-24, then that's a great wide receiver 3, and he still has the ability to do that. Okay, Q Burrow, the diplomat, says I think 500 is about right. I like Mooney his rookie year. He was the only threat with Justin Fields, but was a one-trick pony, only go routes. I'm not going to argue with that either. Hopefully he developed a little bit more. All right, next name on the list, Calvin Austin. Calvin Austin over under 400 yards. And again, I'm not throwing out crazy numbers, outlandish numbers. I'm trying to be realistic. Calvin Austin, 400 yards over under. Last year, he had 372 yards as a wide receiver 3 for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Yeah, over under 400 yards for Calvin Austin. Let me know. Aunt Davis says, he's commenting. Oh, he's commenting for that's another conversation. John Stewart says Darnell Mooney, Paul Mooney doesn't matter what Mooney it is as long as it's not Slayton. Rest in peace, Paul Mooney. Captain Guy says Slayton has bad ideas and hands, is what you're telling me. Yeah, man. And again, the thing that makes me the most upset about Slayton is he'll catch the difficult ones and drop the easy ones. Yeah. Miguel Franco says over. Okay. David Lopez says under. Okay. Q Burrow says under. Special teams might drop his numbers. James Worthy says hopefully under. Why the hopefully? Let me know. Nova Nebula says Mooney can definitely get 500, but again, it depends a lot on pass catching options on the team, and the team will put an emphasis on running the 3 viable backs. Okay. Jim Simpson says, I like Austin, so yes. Q Burrow, the diplomat, says over. I think he is the Timu. Wandale Robinson. All right. Soul Glow says just over 400 for Calvin. Okay. Now let's get into the fun part a little bit. Actually, it's not even this one is fun. Odell Beckham Jr. Over or under 1.5 touchdowns on the season. Odell Beckham over or under 1.5 touchdowns on the season. Les Brown says don't sleep on Slayton. That was me last year, man. That's how I felt about Slayton last year. This year, whatever you got. Whatever you got, Slayton, I'll take it. That's where I'm at. And even after that, I'm gonna need you to come up with some of that money. Unless Slayton puts up 1,000 yards, I'm gonna need you to come out for some of that money. I'm sorry. RDSC Jr. says over on the touchdowns for Odell. Arlon says under 1.5. David Lopez says over. John Russo says over. My man A-Track's in the building. What's going on? Q Burrow says no comment on Beckham. He pleads the 5th. Q Burrow brother is pleading the 5th on Odell Beckham. Big Blue Reborn says over. That does not surprise me at all. I know how y'all feel. Soul Glow says I hear. Hold on. If he makes the team. Oh, if he makes the team over. I'm gonna tell you guys right now. Odell making the team, man. I'm sorry. Barring injury, Odell making the 53. I'm sorry. For anybody thinking Odell ain't making his team, I think he definitely makes the 53. I think with the current names on the roster right now and Malik Neighbors' status being up in the air, Odell Beckham's gonna make this team. I think he's gonna make this team. Won't stop. Dream Team says Scat got to chill. Yeah, he got to stop. He got to sit his ass down. He got to sit down. Big Blue Reborn says number 13 is back. Rev says over. LV Shore says over. Yeah, RD, he's making the team. He's making the team for sure. Les Brown says OBJ is back. Dave Lopez, easily he's making the 53. RDS says, RDSC Jr. says Odell will be a starter by week 3. It depends. Big Blue Reborn says he's coming to hide like Tupac and Juice for his number. He ain't even got to do that, man. He ain't going to, actually, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to take it there. I will say this. I agree with you 100%. But he ain't even going to have to take the number back. That number's going to be free for him to have. James Worthy, respect, because you guys know how hard I fought for Jalin Hyatt. I fought the good fight for Jalin Hyatt. I fought the good fight for Jalin Hyatt. And, at the end of the day.
Nah.
Jalin Hyatt for you. And I can't fight anymore. I can't fight anymore for Jalin Hyatt. He got to go out there and do it. I tried. That's what I tried. I did my best. But I guess my best wasn't good enough. Nova Nebula says Hyatt getting cut. No need to snatch the number. That's what I'm saying. It's going to be free. It's going to be free. Q Burrow says I stay at the Hilton. Forget that. I stay at the Hilton, forget the Hyatt. That's a good one. That is a good one. All right, moving along. Let's talk about the rookie, Malachi Fields. Malachi Fields, over or under 300 yards receiving. Malachi Fields, over or under 300 yards receiving in 2026. Let me know. In the chat, over or under 300 yards for Malachi Fields. Let me know. David Lopez says Hyatt equals one trick pony. It's sad, man. I thought he was going to be better than that. I really thought he was going to be better than that. But he wasn't. And even when he got the targets, man, it just, I thought the targets would help last year in preseason. We saw the touchdown from Jameis Winston to Hyatt. And Hyatt had a little bit of swag and all that. Then the season started and it was back to what we thought. Yeah. All right, David Lopez says Fields over. Rev says over. Les Brown says over. Cap and Guy says Fields over 300 yards receiving. RDSC Jr. says, "What would you be surprised if you see neighbors Hyatt, Fields, and Odell on the spread?" I will be absolutely surprised. Absolutely surprised. I will be absolutely surprised. Lonnie says over 300 yards. Anthony Cherry says under. Soul Glow says over. Ant says over. Isaac Moore says Fields 7 touchdowns. That wasn't even part of the question, Isaac, but I'm going to go ahead and take it. 7 touchdowns for Fields. That would be a fantastic season for him. When's the last time a New York Giant had double-digit touchdowns on the year? Was it Odell? I think it was Odell, right? What Leak had? Leak had what, 8 touchdowns his first year? Was it 8, 9 touchdowns his first year? Something like that. I know he didn't crack double digits in touchdowns, though. Cap and Guy said Hyatt is a bum. Listen, respectfully. Q Burrow brother says Fields over. John Russo says I believe over. Nova Nebula says it's funny because Hyatt looked like he could play the role that I expected him to in his rookie year, just to be occasional spark plug. Playmaker, but he couldn't even maintain that. Man, listen, you know how crazy I was. I was pretty much saying that he can be like Jameson in Detroit. That's what I thought. I was looking at it at Jameson Williams play, and I'm like, yeah, Hyatt should be able to do that. Nope, it didn't happen. And then that last year, he was so worried about creating distance and pushing off and doing all. It was a lot of weird stuff happening last year. I think he was definitely in his head a lot, man. Not being successful, after having one of the most successful college seasons for a wide receiver. Not being successful in the league, I think it might have got to him. I know for a fact it got to John Stewart says Fields is Plaxico 2.0. Book it. Listen, nothing will make me more happy than Fields turning into Plaxico 2.0. Do I think he might have that capability? It's possible. It's possible. He just got to get the targets. I think he'll come down with it for sure. Again, when we talk about Fields too, man, we got to remember that man was a high school quarterback converted to a wide receiver, and literally has only been playing wide receiver for almost just about 3 years. Converted quarterback playing wide receiver. So you can look at it two ways. He's still got a lot of growing and developing to do, and we're just scratching the surface. Or can he get better? That's where we're at. Can he? Or he's definitely going to be better. David Lopez says Fields' ability to win the 50-50 balls is going to carry him over 300 yards. Listen, one thing we know about Jackson Dart, he's going to give his playmakers the chance to make a play. We saw it last year. Little Jordan Humphreys in the Philly game. Big third down. Was that the first possession, second possession? He said, you know what? I'm going to give him a chance to come down with the ball. And that's exactly what he did. All those alley-oops that he threw Wan'Dale Robinson, giving him a chance to make the play. So the one thing about Jackson Dart, he is a gunslinger, and I'm happy about it. Absolutely happy about it. Again, only 5 interceptions on the year last year. He hopefully with the growth, he can keep those interception numbers down and then raise those touchdowns, raise the yards as well. But now I'm with you. The 50-50 ability of Fields should help him out a lot. And if he can grow that trust with Jackson Dart, sky's the limit. Sky's absolutely the limit. Q Burrow, the diplomat, says, not sure all reports on Fields been quiet. Ain't that the most giant thing to happen? Right? Listen, Harbaugh couldn't wait to get Fields, couldn't wait to draft him. As soon as they drafted Colton Hood, they were trying to put a plan together of getting up in the third round to get Malachi Fields. Malachi Fields is a hand-picked Harbaugh wide receiver. Now, that could be a good thing or a bad thing, because we all know the wide receivers in Baltimore, outside of Zay Flowers for the most part, they always say that Jackson Dart has not had the best cast. I'm sorry, not Jackson Dart. Lamar Jackson has not had the best cast of receivers around him. But again, I think we're dealing with a different type of quarterback with Jackson Dart. And Harbaugh, who knows if his hands were in that pot in Baltimore as much as they are with the New York Giants as far as who those wide receivers are. But he handpicked Malachi Fields 100%. Isaac Moore says Fields has the size and hands end zone weapon. Now, that's a fact. Great hands. Nova Nebula says 7 touchdowns for Fields is OD. I think Fields will be very situational play as a rookie. I think 7 touchdowns is a lot too. If he gave us 2 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns on the year, I'm happy with it. If Malachi Fields' stat line was 350 yards, 3 touchdowns as a wide receiver 3/4 for the New York Giants, I'm not mad at that. And also a rookie, I'm not mad at that at all. He's also a possession receiver. Let me know how many first downs he gets too. It's not just about the touchdowns at the end of the day. Can he move the sticks? That's something I think he can do too. He said he can't handle that pressure. You talking about Hyatt still, right? Yeah, Hyatt can't handle that pressure. All right, so next, and I'm going to ask you guys, Malik Neighbors. Malik Neighbors over or under 10 games. Over or under 10 games for Malik Neighbors in 2026. Let me know. Let me know. Dealer says, I trust John Harbaugh at draft at any position on the field outside of wide receiver. There's something when it comes to that position that just eludes him. That's funny. Like I said, we sometimes we think alike. You had like Rashad Bates. I remember they drafted Rashad Bates. Didn't turn out to be anything. Zay Flowers ended up being pretty damn good though. Zay Flowers is pretty good when he's not dropping passes. But yeah, Zay Flowers is one of those guys. Let's see. All right. Isaac Moore says under 10 games for Malik Neighbors. So Will says over 10. LV Shore says under 10. Ant says the Rock needs to get spread out to a lot of bodies. Yeah, listen, they're gonna spread the ball around for sure. David Lopez says neighbors over. Rev says over. Anthony says under. Captain God says over. Nova Nebula over over easily. People got to stop acting like this kid is crippled. Got to over from Nova Nebula with emphasis. Corky says under. Q Burrow, the diplomat, says I think we get 8 to 9 games from neighbors, so that's under. Aunt David says praying for health. We all are. We all are praying for us a full recovery, hopefully before week 5. That's where I'm at week 5. Hopefully it's before week 5. Big Blue Reborn says over. Sean Jackson says, what up, Dash? I've been rooting for Hyatt to put it together and make an impact on New York Giants since we drafted him. My son and I met him during training camp last season. Good dude, but has to produce. He is a good dude. He does put in the work. You know, I think they had him in the doghouse, you know, in the 2024 season. But in 2025, when opportunities were there, and there weren't a lot of them, but when the opportunities were there, you know, he didn't take advantage of every opportunity that he had. And being that it's in a new regime, I know that Joe Schoen drafted him, but a new regime, the jig is up. The jig might be up, man. But I'm hoping that all these guys are successful, man. More competition, the better. The more competition, the better. Soul Glow says at GI, he says, I got it, but I have to just a small pet peeve about plaques. A lot of people listen. I don't want to put that pressure on Malachi Fields either. I don't want to put that Plexico, you know, who'd you want him. But when we talk about, you know, we talking to Giants fans, we family in here. You know how we get. We like to compare, you know, Giants players to other Giants players. You know, and when you look at Malachi Fields, 6'4", 220 pounds, you think of Plaxico, 6'5", 220 pounds. So I see why we're doing that, but I don't want to put that hoodoo on them either. You know, I don't want to put that kind of pressure on them at all. I don't remember when Plaxico Burress was drafted either. Because we know Fields is a third rounder. What was Plaxico Burress drafted? Let me know. What round was he drafted in? Isaac throwing jabs tonight. Hyde is good at cardio. That's a good one. That's a good one. All right, so the majority said over 10 games for Malik Neighbors, so we're gonna keep it at over. We're gonna keep it at over. Moving to the running backs. And then I got a couple over-unders for defense too. But going to the running backs. 1,000 all-purpose yards for Tyrone Tracy. Will he have 1,000 all-purpose yards for the third time in his career? Again, he's had 1,000 all-purpose yards in his first 2 seasons. Can Tyrone Tracy repeat that again? Get the three-peat for 1,000 all-purpose yards. Last year he had 1,160 all-purpose yards in 15 games. Let me know. Over under. Tyrone Tracy, 1,000 yards all-purpose. Isaac Moore says over. Big Blue Reborn says a giant, yes. Also said over. Won't Stop Dream Team says over. Captain God says yes to the over. Anthony Cherry says over. James O'Keefe says over. Okay. Anthony Cherry says yes. James Keefe says over. I do believe. Les Brown says under. Let me know why, Les. Let me know why you think he'll have under 1,000 yards all purpose. JDJ says over. By the way, when is Eric Gray's scholarship up? In about 54 days? In about 54 days, right? About 54 days. I think so, respectfully. Panda says over. Tony Bonino says over. Corky says over. Nova Nebula says, I'm going to say under. More running back by committee and Scatterable will be featured more. I want more love for my guy Singletary, especially in short yardage situations too. All right. Rev says no because Scat will be healthy the entire season. David Lopez says under. Ant says hopefully, but I don't think so if Scat dominates the touches. I don't think Tyrone Tracy is going to have any trouble getting touches. I don't think that's going to, he just has to take advantage of them. So I see a lot of people saying yes, saying over. Big Blue Reborn says yin yang yin and yang between Scat and Tracy is going to be fire, but I think he gets busy with a lot of the screens. Okay, just think about it. So last year for Tyrone Tracy, again, 1,160 yards. Now, obviously, I asked if Tyrone Tracy is going to be 1,000-yard all-purpose back. Cam Scatterbull in 2026. Do you see Cam Scatterbull having 1,000 all-purpose yards for the New York Giants? Last year, he had 617 all-purpose yards in 8 games. Again, I think it was 417 yards on the ground, 207 yards. I'm sorry, 410. Yeah, 410 yards on the ground, 207 yards in the air for Cam Scatterbull last year. Does Cam Scatterbull become a 1,000-yard all-purpose back for the New York Giants? Let me know. Bama McDabbles says over. Captain Guy says Gray was a waste of a pick. Listen, man, and the funny thing about it is Gray was actually pretty good at Oklahoma too. He was pretty good. And what can I say? What can I say? I still remember the preseason game, the touchdown against the Lions. Took it to the house on him. He hit the safety with the dead leg and was off to the races. I remember that. But yeah, man, little opportunity for these guys in this running back room outside of the top 3 guys. Bama McDabble says Singletary is washed. I disagree. I disagree with the Singleton is washed because what do you mean by being washed? Because I think as a third running back option, I think he's probably the best third running back option in the league as a third running back. And then also I noticed last year that just the effect of having Scatterbull on the squad made the entire running back room run a lot more physically. You saw Tyrone Tracy run a lot more physical when Cam Scatterbull got here, and you saw Singletary as well. And again, as a third running back, I like Singletary, especially for the money that he's making right now. They redid his contract. He's making a little, vet minimum and stuff like that. I'm not mad at that deal at all. And having him is better than not having him, because then after that, we're talking about Turbo Miller. We're talking about what's the UDFA Bankston is the other guy that we have. How many running backs do we have now? Is it just the 5 guys? Yeah, it's what Bankston and Miller. We need another thumper. Probably won't want to draft another running back next year too, man. I need a thumper. I need to find a Brandon Jacobs somewhere in 2027 in that draft. Let me find a Brandon Jacobs somewhere. I don't know. Dealer says I'll say over for Scat. 1,000 all-purpose yards. JDJ says under, not if he keeps pulling up to events falling on his ass doing backflips. Yo, I'm mad at that, man. I'm mad at Scatterbull, man. I'm mad, and guess what? They let him have it. Like, his phone was blowing up after that. Jackson Dart was probably the first one to call him saying, bro, sit your ass down. Sit down. We don't need to see no more backflips from you. We understand that you're healthy. We don't need to see no more. You don't got to prove it to nobody else. You need to find another celebration. Cam Scatterbull, find another celebration. No more backflips. Hashtag no more backflips for Cam Scatterbull. Make that a hashtag no more backflips. Let's get that going. Let's make that trend. Nova Nebula says, I don't think any of the backs will. I believe and hope that it will be a healthy balance between the entire room. Listen, not only is Cam Scatterbull getting 1,000 all-purpose yards, I think Tyrone Tracy is getting 1,000. I think we're going to have 2,000 all-purpose yard backs. Call me crazy. Matter of fact, right now, in the comments section, am I crazy? Say yes. Say dash. You crazy? Whatever you. Am I crazy or not to think that we're going to have 2,000-yard all-purpose backs in 2026? Let me know. Am I bugging? Am I crazy? Am I deranged? Let me know. I think Tyrone Tracy and Cam Scatterbull are going to both be 1,000-yard all-purpose backs. Oh man, Big Blue Reborn says no. Panda says not crazy. Dave Lopez says Dash, you're crazy. James O'Keefe says Dash, you're spot on. Saint says I agree. Anthony Cherry says no, I'm not crazy. John Stewart says Dash, you so crazy. Dealer says I looked. Hold on, it looked like the turf shifted when he did the backflip. Did it? Did it? So it imitated MetLife, right? Must be open. Yeah. Oh man, Les Brown says I hope so. Easy Cash says you're psychotic. Corky says not crazy. Jay Saint said we need balance. Man, listen. The New York Giants drafted Maui Noah to run the ball. The New York Giants signed Pat Ricard to run the ball. And guess what? Pat Ricard is not he doesn't run the ball. He's a lead blocker. I believe that Tyrone Tracy and Cam Scott. Let me know. Is this a hot take? Is this considered a hot take? Let me know. I'm gonna look directly into the camera. Is this a hot take? Tyrone Tracy and Cam Scatterbull both have 1,000 all-purpose yards in 2026. Healthy. I'll say that. I'll leave that caveat in there. Healthy. If they have a healthy season, I think both of those guys can have over 1,000 yards all-purpose in 2026. Some of y'all think I'm crazy. Some people call me psychotic. I'm going to stand 10 toes down on this as long as these guys are healthy. If they both play at least 13 games, 14 games, I think they both can do it. I think they both can do it. I think they both can do it. We'll see what happens. Soul Glow says, nah, you good. Q Burrow says, yes, with or without the meds, crazy. I guess I'm crazy. I'm bugging. I might be bugging just a little bit. That'll be the hot take going into training camp. 2 1,000 all-purpose yard backs. You're insane. Now, I said all-purpose yards. The New York Giants, I remember, I'm old enough to remember 2,000-yard rushing running backs for the New York Giants. Not all-purpose, 2,000-yard rushing running backs. And from what I remember, that offensive line wasn't that good. We won Super Bowls behind that offensive line, but as a whole, that offensive line wasn't all that. And we had 2,000-yard. And Mob Bradshaw, Brandon Jacobs both had 1,000 yards rushing. And then you also had Fire at the end of the day. I don't think he didn't crack 1,000, but we had 3 running backs. But again, we talking 20 years ago when they was putting up stats like this. And I'm talking about all-purpose yards. But shout out to my man David Lopez. He says I'm insane. He said I'm insane. Listen, it is what. So when you look at how Tyrone Tracy did it last year, Tyrone Tracy had 740 yards on the ground, 258 yards receiving. Again, Cam Scatterbull had 410 yards rushing and 207 yards receiving. And I think it can happen. Cam Scatterbull only played 8 games. You know, that's pretty much just under a half a season. So I think it's possible. And again, with a scheme and with Harbaugh and making the changes on the offensive line, it's going to be heavy run at the end of the day. And I do think that's something that can happen. I do think that can happen. But I can't wait for this one, though. I can't wait for this one. Brown 2344 says Dart is overrated. Shedeur Sanders made the Pro Bowl. Dart missed it. Laugh out loud. Jackson and Cam will never be Sanders. So I mean, obviously people that have been rocking with me, you know, I was a big Shedeur Sanders fan. I'm still a big supporter of Shedeur Sanders. I think he's better than what people think he is. I'm not going to sit here and allow. And shout out to, thank you for the $5 super chat. Said Dart is overrated. So you know what we do with that. You listen. This is for you, Brown 2344. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the support.
Away from me, you crumb. You're a real crumb bum. Put that on camera. You're a crumb bum, the 3 of you, and you're a crumb creep coward.
I appreciate the love and support, Browns, but listen, this is not the place for that. Not the place for that. Says Joker type insanity. I'm not crazy. I'm not okay, man. Listen, I might be crazy. I might be crazy. All right, man. So now we're going to switch it over to defense. We're going to close. We've got about 15 minutes left in the show. Again, thank you for everybody for the love and support. Thank you for, attending the Giants family reunion that we do every Saturday, 9 p.m. Eastern time. Thank you for the love and support. Again, we are 2 weeks away from training camp. Next week's show, we're going to have a Giants panel put together. It's going to be a pre-training camp show. Make sure you guys tune in for that next Saturday too. Now, on the defensive side, it's going to be a lot quicker. So last year, the Giants defense as a whole, right? The Giants defense as a whole gave up 25.5 points a game. That's what I saw. The Giants defense gave up 25.5 points a game. Over or under the New York Giants in 2026, the New York Giants defense, over or under 22 points per game giving up 22 points a game. Over or under. Are the New York Giants going to, are we 3 points better on defense than last year? Over or under 22 points per game. Are the New York Giants giving up over or under 22 points per game? Let me know in the comment section. Soul Glow says 10 days, baby. Training camp, man. Shout out to training camp. Starts the 29th. Public practices start on the 30th. And shout out to Big Blue Reborn. Big Blue Reborn will be at training camp. I believe that's what I saw, right? Big Blue Reborn. You correct me if I'm wrong. You guys will be in the building in West Virginia for training camp. For those that are going to camp, make sure you guys check out the guys on Big Blue Reborn, man. Make sure you guys do that. They're going to be in the building. They will be in the building. All right, let's get here. Where we at? David Lopez says under 22 points a game given up by the New York Giants defense. Panda says under. Melvin says under. Ant says run up the thumbs up button. Hit that like button. Guess what? You're here with family. Giants fans, you're here with family. Maybe that Browns fan, you know, I don't know how you snuck into the barbecue. I don't know how you made it to the cookout, Browns fan, but you here. And you were respectful. You $5 super chat. That's like bringing, a 12-pack. So I appreciate you. But again, I don't know how you made it. Who sent you the invite? James O'Keefe says push. Rev says under. Nova Nebula says I have no choice but to pray for the under. I'm with you. Les Brown says under. Corky says under. Pete Winan says under. JDJ says under. Can never go full Bowen. That's a fact. What's funny? Like, what was it? The Cowboys damn near gave up 30 points per game. The Cowboys last year gave up almost 30 points a game. Giants were at 25 points per game. 5 points is a big difference. Because a lot of the top defenses, who was it? There was one defense, and it surprised me too, because the Browns were like in the teens as far as points given up. I think it was like 14. The Browns guys in the building, let me know. Your defense gave up like 16 points per game last year, but that Browns defense y'all had some players. Myles Garrett was playing out of his mind, and that's the last of the respect I'm gonna give you. Give you credit for Myles Garrett, but y'all was dumb enough to trade him. That's crazy. Alan Greenwood, what's going on? He says Odell wasn't the right choice. The Giants should have signed Deebo Samuel. Listen, man, there's a lot of storylines when it comes to Odell Beckham. As far as performance and what have you done for me lately, I agree with you. Deebo Samuel might have should have been the signing. But as far as the money and the nostalgia of it and the leadership in the wide receiver room, funny enough to say that, we got Odell. I'm not going to argue against Odell, man. Big Blue Reborn says, yes, sir, they will be in the building. So you guys that at those training camp practices, make sure you go ahead and bother Big Blue Reborn. Make sure you guys go and shout out my guys, man. Show those guys some love over there if you're at the practice. Soul Glow says, that's a tough one. Anthony Cherry says under. Big Blue Reborn says 31st and the first. So they're letting you know if you go into that 31st practice and that first practice, Big Blue Reborn be in the building. Make sure you guys go hang out with those guys, show them some love. And again, I know those hotel prices. Listen. I was looking at some of those prices for them hotels. They're ridiculous. Ridiculous. Listen. Our name says Bourne was the worst DC in Giants history. Yes, he was. Yes, he was. Listen, and I'm pretty sure we might be able to find somebody that was worse than that. Freddie Kitchens was bad too. Not Freddie Kitchens. What was the guy we had? Patrick Graham pissed me off too. But Patrick Graham was bad. But Shane Bowen is absolutely worse than Patrick Graham. Because at least Patrick Graham had Xavier McKinney hooping back then. Soul Glow says, sheesh, I want to say under. You're a little hesitant, huh? No Shane Bowen. Under, says David Lopez. Under clock management will be better on offense. I do believe. See, Vinny G is thinking. Vinny G is thinking, yeah, you figure if the New York Giants have that emphasis on the run game, that's gonna eat up the clock, which should equal less points by the opposing team. It's a science to it. We playing chess, not checkers. Shout out to my man Vinny G in the building. What's going on, Darnell? What's going on? Where we at? I gotta get caught up. Okay, all right. So a lot of people said the under. I'm hoping for the under too. Patrick Graham was terrible. He had good schemes. He was just too redundant. Listen, he would get into that shell, that soft shell defense, and it was just like, run the clock out on us. Like, I hated that shell defense, that soft shell. Okay. Switching it to the offensive side. Last year, the New York Giants averaged 22.4 points a game. 22.4 points a game in 2025, the New York Giants, that's what we averaged, right? So in 2026, over or under, I'm not even going to go crazy, over or under 23 points per game for the New York Giants in 2026. That's just under 3 touchdowns and a field goal, just under that. Just under that. I didn't want to go to full 24s. I said 23. 23 points for the New York Giants offense in 2026, over or under, let me know. Our name says under. Came in hot with the under. I see somebody made a reference to Coming to America. I missed it. You know how I get. We get to talking about movies. I got to stop the show because I get carried away. Soul Glow says over 22.5 points. Rev says over. JDJ says likely over because of Isaiah. Pete Winan says under. Big Blue Reborn says over. David Lopez says just under 24 points. Yeah, that's 23, just under. That's 20. That's where I put it there. Easy Cash says Giants will average a solid. All right, man. Let's see. This for Easy Cash.
Away from me, you crumb. You're a real crumb bum. Put that on camera. You're a crumb bum, the 3 of you. And you're a crumb creep coward.
17 points, my man Easy Cash says. 17 points. You think the offense is going to be worse than last year, man? You really believe that, Easy Cash, man? 17 points? Nah, we ain't doing that. We ain't doing that. 17 points is crazy. The info says over 25.5. Listen, that's damn near top of the league right there. 25.5. The top teams was like 28. 25. That's hey, I'll take it. John Stewart says for all those who was hating on OBJ or hating against OBJ is still assuming that he's the same man as 10 years ago. Maybe we should look at y'all as the same as 10 years ago. Those who live in glass houses, la-di-da, la-di-da. We know what you mean when you say that, man. Yeah, listen. Odell, I will say this, Odell Beckham is not who he was 10 years ago. Now, that's a good and a bad to that. Like, I wish he was a player that he was 10 years ago, but he's not. But also, like the man that he is now as far as the maturity and a veteran in the league. I do like that part of it. James O'Keefe says over. Anthony says over. Tony Benino says over is a sure bet. Ant says flat. Yeah, it's a flat number. I didn't do 23 and a half. I'm sorry. Yeah, I didn't do 22 and a half or 23 and a half. I said 23. I'm not Vegas. Shout out to my man Jonathan Pride in the building with the peace signs, man. Yeah. We only got we got about 5 minutes left in the show. So let's get to these next ones, man. A little bit of fun on the defensive side. LV Short says, I'm back. How long you been going, LV Short? Then I can tell you how much you missed. If you were still here and we was talking about Harbaugh, or we was talking about the offensive and over and unders, then you good. We just went over defense a little bit. Okay. Some defensive individual stats that I'll start with the over and under. Brian Burns, over 10 sacks, over or under 10 sacks for Brian Burns in 2026. Let me know. And there's a little bit of scheming to this madness. JDJ says Carter will lead us in sacks. It's possible. It's definitely possible. David Lopez, I'm sorry, Pete Weiner says, I thought you said LB Shore. No, LV Shore. I might have said LB Shore just off of, being on autopilot. Big Blue Reborn says over. Won't Stop says over. Rev says over. Burn 15 sacks. Yeah, let's do that. Pause. David Lopez says Burns over. Anthony Cherry says over. LV Shore says over. John Stewart says either he'll be at 10 or over. Okay. David Lopez says, what? What's that? Catter? I don't even know what that means. David Lopez, let me know. Unless that was just an error. James O'Keefe says over. Okay. So I think that's for sure. Next name we already started. David Lopez says Abdul over. Abdul was next on the list. Abdul Carter over under 8 sacks. I'm not going to say double digits for him yet, which I think he should have. 72 pressures last year. But I'm just going to leave it at 8 sacks on the season for Abdul Carter. Let me know over or under. Jim Simpson says Burns for sure over. Okay. Another double-digit sack year for Burns. That'll be his 4th in 7 seasons. 7 seasons, because he's only had double-digit sacks in 3 of his 7 seasons so far. So that if he does it again, that'll be 4 in 8 seasons. James Keefe says over for Abdul Carter on 8 sacks. Our name says Carter 12 sacks. I would love it. Anthony Cherry says that's my main man. You know that's over. John Stewart says Abdul will be better and over, better than Burns. JDJ says over. Carter going 11 plus sacks. Don't sleep on him. Listen. I love it. I love it. Rev says under 8. Okay, Rev, you gotta let me know why. Nova Nebula says push. Okay. Won't Stop Dream Team says Carter gets 15. Listen. Yeah. Yeah, I like that. Carter getting 15. Listen. I hope for that. Because that means you have 2 edge rushers with double-digit sacks. But we're gonna keep going. LV Short says right at 8. David Lopez says only thing stopping Abdul from getting over 8 is an injury. Yeah, he got to finish though. That's one thing about Abdul Carter. Abdul Carter got to finish. 72 pressures. I forget how many hits he had. I got it in the notes. But we just saw sometimes he just could not finish once he got there. And if he finishes, man, I can see 15 happening. His first step is crazy. Yeah. If he can become a complete edge rusher, the New York Giants are in good shape. Les Brown says 12 sacks. All right, so we got right now a lot of people believe that both Abdul Carter and Brian Burns are in that range of, plus 10, but in the range of 12 and 15 and 16 sacks. That's a lot from 2 players. Not last person, but Kayvon Thibodeau. Kayvon Thibodeau over or under 8 sacks for Kayvon Thibodeau in a contract year. And hopefully he plays a full season. Do you think Kayvon Thibodeau can get 8 sacks in 2026 over or under? Let me know. What did I see? Somebody said Thibodeau 10 sacks for the Raiders. They're not trading Tibbs this early, man. Nah. If Tibbs gets traded, that means he gets traded at the trade deadline. I don't think it's going to happen before that. It depends on what you get from him too. Tony Bonino says Carter will show why he is or was the 3rd pick overall. Les Brown says under. Luann says under for Kayvon getting 8 sacks. Cringy Grinchy says under for Kayvon. Won't Stop Dream Team says Tibbs gets 8, but is the reason for everybody else's. I like that. I like that. Isaac Moore says, any projection stats on Reese? I do have Reese on here as far as total tackles. He was actually two. I got two more on this list before I get to Reese. James O'Keefe says 8 or under. David Lopez says Kayvon 6.5. What Kayvon have last year? 3 or 4? 3 or 4. He only played 10 games? I think it was 10 games with Kayvon last year. JDJ says under. KT getting 5 sacks before the Vikings trade for him at the deadline. The Vikings, the Patriots, somebody might want to trade for him. I'm keeping Kayvon though, me personally. Nova Nebulous is under Kayvon, but give me 6 to 7. Soul Glow says Kayvon Thibodeau will be packing peanuts after game 8. That's crazy. That's crazy. Soul Glow, that's crazy. Corky says under. Anthony Cherry says under. So a lot of people saying under. Under. Now, next question. Arvell Reese. I have 2 questions for Arvell Reese. Arvell Reese, Defensive Rookie of the Year. Yes or no? Yes or no? Arvell Reese, Defensive Rookie of the Year. Let me just see. Last year, a off-ball linebacker. What was his name? Not Schlesinger. What was his name? The linebacker for the Browns. What was his name? Something like that. What DL at? Help me out, DL. What's the kid's name from the Browns? Came from UCLA. Won Defensive Rookie of the Year last year. Off-ball linebacker. AR-52. Arvell Reese, Defensive Rookie of the Year. Also, Arvell Reese, 100 tackles. Over or under 100 tackles for Arvell Reese in 2026. Jim Simpson says in the top 5 and voting for Defensive Rookie of the Year, Schlesinger. It was Schlesinger. Okay, thank you. Schlesinger or Schlesinger, one of them. It's one of them. Off-ball linebacker out of UCLA. Him or Downs, Defensive Player of the Year. Okay, Rookie of the Year. Chris says Dash and KT on Mars with each other. Why am I saying? Listen, 8 sacks. I think that's a pretty good number to set the over/under on. 8 sacks. Contract year, something to prove, better defensive scheme. I think he can get that. Carson Schlesinger. Thank you. That's his name, Schlesinger. Yeah, there you go. Thank you. Off-ball linebacker, UCLA. Shout out to Red with the $2 super chat. Says Tibbs over is why Carter will be under. Okay. All right. Now the last guy on this list, man, then we're gonna get out of here, man. I think a lot rides on the development of this name of this player, especially the position that he plays on the defensive line. If he can continue to develop and build off of what he did last year, especially during the end of last year, I think the Giants are going to be better off. Darius Alexander is on the list, the ESPN list, for a possible breakout player for the New York Giants. So other people are looking at Darius Alexander, non-Giants fans, as a possible breakout player. He finished the year strong. His PFF grades were horrible, but he did finish with 3.5 sacks last year. At one point in time, he had more sacks than Abdul Carter. Darius Alexander last year, 3.5 sacks in 2025, again with the snaps that he had. In 2026, I think we expect him to be a starter and getting a lot more snaps than what he did in 2025. So I'm just going to set the bar. Last year, he had 3.5. This year, I'm going to set the bar at 4 sacks for Darius Alexander. Can Darius Alexander get 4? Don't do that, Jonathan Pride. Don't do that. We're talking football. We talking football. JDJ says Darius Mursal under 1 sack. I see why you said that, Jonathan Pride. I see why you said that. Won't stop. Dream Team said push. John Stewart says I'll roll with Darius Alexander over Darius Slayton every day of the week. Darius Slayton still catching strays. David Lopez says Alexander will take a big step forward. He can play. I think so too, man. I think he can. I think if he turns out to be a player, we're going to be in good shape because we definitely need to draft some more defensive linemen because DJ Reader, we got him for 2 years, but he's old. Shelby Harris is 1 year, the man 36 years old. So we do need these defensive line, these young guys to step up. Also, Bobby Jamison Travis is the rookie that we drafted out of Auburn, needs to step up too. Pete Weiner says Alexander 5 sacks. James O'Keefe says 4. Anthony Cherry says 7. Okay. Will says 5. Breakout year says Corky. JDJ says Darius Alexander is the best Alexander on the team. Okay. James O'Keefe says push. Soul Glow says Alexander over 4 sacks. Ant Davis says Darius Alexander fighting the ghost of Dexter Lawrence. DJ Reed is probably the one fighting the ghost of Dexter Lawrence. Darius Alexander is fighting the ghost of he was drafted in the 3rd round. That's what I think it is. And then he's fighting the expectations put on him by the fan base too. Me being one of those people. David Lopez says 7 is a lot for Alexander. Again, 7 for a defensive lineman that's not an edge rusher. Yeah, 7 is a lot. Last year he gave us 3.5. 3.5 last year from him. And again, my over-under is 4. So yeah, 7 would be a fantastic year for him. If Darius Alexander as a defensive tackle gets 7 sacks in 2026, he's on everybody's radar. Everybody's radar. Trisha K says 8. Listen, we talking about what? At that point, if Alexander gets 8, we talking about him being top 6 tackles in the league, defensive tackles in the league if that happens. Darnell adding his own stats with Reese saying Reese gets 6 sacks. I don't know what to expect from Reese as far as pass rush because how we're going to play him. But if Arvell Reese can somehow get 6 sacks as an off-ball linebacker, again, we don't know how they're going to play him on 3rd down. We'll find out soon enough. Then it might be possible, and it's something that might not be possible. Shout out to Jacob. Jacob with the $10 super chat says, "Love the show. First time I've caught you live. Absolutely agree with everything you're saying. A lot of the people think I am way too optimistic. I can see 11 to 12 wins. Defense is reborn. Arvell is a monster." Listen, ain't nothing wrong with a little optimism or a lot of it, especially if it's positive. He says I can see 11 to 12 wins. Listen, if the Giants get 11 to 12 wins, we going to the Super Bowl. We're going to the Super Bowl, Jacob. I'm telling you right now, and I do see how active you are in the video in the comment section of the videos too. Thank you a lot for the love and support and being active in the comment section for sure, man. I do see it. I do see it. Jacob also says Denard Wilson going to make all the difference in the world. I do believe in that. LV Shaw says you smoking bricks. Good Lord, man. Can the man have some optimism? Can he have some optimism? My man Jonathan Pride going after him too. He says 11 to 12. He jumping out the window. Listen, as somebody that jumps out of windows habitually when it comes to these New York Giants, I ain't mad. I'm not mad at Jacob having that. If you see what Jacob said, Jacob said heavy bricks. Man, we getting out of there. That's it right there. That's it. That's it right there for sure. Division champs. We 11 to 12 wins. Division champs for sure. Shout out to my man Jacob, man. That's it. That's it. Pete Weiner says Giants in 12. Listen, heavy bricks is hilarious. Oh man, listen, we 10 minutes over the time limit, man. Again, hopefully everybody had a good start to their weekend. Tomorrow, Sunday. Get your prayers in and all that stuff. If you go to church, go to church. Love on your family and get back on the grind, man. Hold on, but we got Jonathan Pride with the $20 super chat says he bugging Dad. Stop it. Nah, that reply is funny because you said he's smoking bricks. He said heavy bricks. Yeah, that's hilarious. And he ain't hesitate either. He fired back, man. He fired back. I love it. I love it. Super Bowl champs in 2027, as Trisha K says. Oh, man. Soul Glow says, slow it down, baby steps. You got to crawl before you walk. And again, I appreciate still over 100 people in the live, man. We getting out of here right now. Make sure if you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Also hit that like button. Next week, we got a panel show, bringing some Giants content creators on the show. Still sending out invites, but I got some people locked in as well. So make sure you guys tune in for that. Next week, training camp preview. It's going to be another, Giants family reunion. But with that being said, hold on. John Stewart says Big Dash believes in the Lord and in the New York Giants. We outdo. That's it right there. That's it right there. Shout out to my man Jake. I'm trying to get out of here. Shout out to Jacob with the $20 super chat. Says Giants Patriots Super Bowl with the in the next 2 years. Listen, we can do it again. We can do it again. We can do it. And now we're gonna leave that up there. Shout out to my man Jacob again. And with that being said, I want to thank everybody for vibing with me. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And from one Giants fan to another, this is Big Dash Knows Big Blue Nation. Let's go.